Meeple Nation Podcast, Episode 335, Meeple Nation September News.
Welcome, citizens of Meeple Nation. For the next 30 minutes, sit back and enjoy.
Meeple Nation Podcast is brought to you by GameToppersLLC.com. If you would like to upgrade your game night, I suggest you look into getting a Game Topper. These Game Toppers are gorgeous. They make your game room look absolutely stunning, and they can make any game
better.
Exactly. That's the only adjective you need in that. Better.
I was looking for something better, but visit GameToppersLLC.com and check it out, see what they've got.
We are the hosts of Meeple Nation. I am Logan Howard.
I'm Dave Holliday.
Dave, you're going backwards. I'm Nathan Howard.
I'm Andy Holliday.
This week we're talking news. Started to do this last news session. We should continue to do this. Talking about some new games that we've played recently. For me, I've played some ocean games. I've played Deep Blue. Deep Blue is you're diving into shipwrecks trying to recover treasures. Oceanos is another one that I've played where you're building subs and score points by going to the ocean floor. To continue with that water theme, just finished playing Underwater Cities, which I think is a game that you guys are really going to like. Looking forward to playing that. We have an expansion. I haven't busted that out yet.
Nice.
So you're going to get scuba certified after all this? Because there's definitely a theme going on here.
There is. Thinking about that. And another one that's on my shelf to learn is Aquasphere, which is also an underwater theme. Maybe we need to have an episode based on water games, because apparently I've been playing a lot of them lately. The new one I've played is Village from Stronghold Games, which also, I think, Andy and Dave, I think you will for sure like this. I haven't played many worker placements with you, Logan. I don't know if...
It really actually depends on the worker placement, because it's a theme that I'm okay with. Sorry, got that backwards. Mechanic that I'm okay with, that the theme can make or break for me. Lords of Waterdeep, it's something that I like the theme. I like Dungeons & Dragons. The theme actually didn't work very well for me. Stuff that we've been playing with Andy, it's like Viscounts of the Western Kingdom and Paladins of the Western Kingdom. Is it all Western Kingdom?
Western Kingdom. Yeah. Western Kingdom.
Those types of worker placements, I actually super enjoy. If it works well together, it tips it over the edge for me. If not, it's just kind of like, it's alright.
Well, we'll have to see how everybody else enjoys these games if we discuss them further. How about you guys? Any new games you've been playing?
We played Explore It. I know we talked about that a little bit ago, but that was a fun game. How many players did we have in that? 5 players?
We had 5 players.
5 players. That was, I guess I came away with it. I had fun. I wish I could have decided how I went up levels, but had a little more control over exactly what abilities leveled up in that game. I think that was my biggest beef with that game. But overall, a very enjoyable game. And I actually got my first Kickstarter, which was Windward. Dave and I played that. I would like to try it without the... One of the things that comes with it, it's actually an add-on that you don't have to play with our achievements. And I think the achievements made the game not balanced. So I would like to play it again without the achievement. It's the first person to 15 points. Dave scored 7 points on his first turn. So
impressive.
Wow.
I mean, Dave is really good at everything.
It was a perfect storm.
It actually was. It was a crazy set of circumstances that allowed me to do that. I'd really like to play it again, actually, as well. I'd like to do it again both with and without, because I'd like to see if that perfect storm wasn't lined up, how different it would have been.
When you started that phrase, though, I thought you wanted to try it again without, and then
Dave.
you kind of left it hanging there. I totally thought you were going to say without Dave. I could relate to that.
I think it'll be a fun game. My complaint about the achievements were the number of points they were worth. Because you get more points for just a generic achievement than you get for actually the theme of the game, which is killing these cresters and harvesting them for fuel. Yeah, the achievements were worth more points than it was to kill the big cresters, the ones that were, there's no way you could even defeat first half of the game. Dave achieved you achieved 2 achievements in the first turn and killed a small one of the gray cresters. Yeah. Anyway, it was insane. I was a little frustrated because of how the game went, but we definitely need to play it again.
I finally got to play Great Western Trail.
And what did you think?
I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I really want to play Great Western Trail again because I'm really big on it too.
I really enjoyed Great Western Trail. I think it's a very enjoyable game.
It was one of those games that I was unsure of going into it. Sat down to actually start playing. Loved it.
Who won that game that we played?
I think Nate did. No, Andy Pips killed us.
That's right. I had a ton of cows.
So I played Scooby-Doo Betrayal at Haunted Mansion. I've only played Betrayal Legacy and this, so I don't have a reference point to the original Betrayal yet. It was pretty fun. I played it with Andy's kids and Ashley. She actually came back to game night for a night. We'll see if she comes back for a second. It was fun. It was interesting. Designed to be very much more kid-friendly than the other Betrayal games. You're not going crazy. You don't have to make these horrible choices. There's not these horrible sacrifices. It's just a Scooby-Doo adventure. When the game progresses and you get to the haunt portion of it, you don't have to impose on somebody to become the traitor that's maybe not wanting to be the traitor. People get to choose.
Oh, interesting.
And if there's multiple people that get to choose, you can randomize it. But since we were playing with a whole bunch of people who hadn't played the game before and Andy's kids, I was just like, I'll be the traitor.
Standard, right?
Pretty much. It was fulfilling prophecy.
You and Harry Potter.
Yeah, pretty much. He stopping evil, me becoming evil. It's one and the same, really. Long story short, both Harry Potter and I are completely awesome. So that's it. It could have just been the scenario that we played. I felt it was way too easy to win as the traitor at the end of it. I think they were a little too chaotic to play. So Caden's 10 and Amara's 17?
Yes.
So they were distracted because Stanley was here. Not Stanley, the ghost.
It was
comic
Betrayal
author.
at Haunted Mansion, so...
But it wasn't him, it was Nathan's dog, so that was distracting Amara pretty good too. Ashley and Marshall, her boyfriend, were the only ones who were kind of trying to stop me, but didn't really stop me. It was too late. It was a fun game. In fact, they have another Scooby-Doo game that's a newer one I'd be interested in getting. Kind of like Escape Room in a Box. Scooby-Doo Escape from Haunted Mansion. They designed this. There's a whole bunch of puzzles, all these other components with it to make it like an escape room. I'm torn on it at the same time because it depends on how much money it costs. It's kind of a big ticket to spend on a board game that you're only really going to get enjoyment out of one time. Not even like legacy games where you can go through and play it X amount of times to get through the chapters. It's just, here it is, enjoy it, have fun, pack it up if you didn't destroy it and sell it to somebody else.
So I actually heard, and I can't confirm, but I actually heard there's 2 scenarios. At least have 2 plays with that.
And it's going to be a continuation. They have a whole thing that they're go into another franchise and go with Stephen King's The Shining for another one. So that's something else to look forward to.
Maybe not quite so kid-friendly on that one.
No, I think that's like the
It's a
complete opposite.
family-friendly movie.
Yeah, it is.
At the kids stay, play forever. I mean, like, that's cute, right?
It's got the little kid. It's got the little twins. It's family-friendly.
That's right. Yeah.
Also today, we were discussing a little bit in the group chat this morning. Got my email to Pledge Manager for Nemesis Lockdown. They wanted a lot of money for painted minis.
Now that I've seen the minis, I get a higher price tag. And I understand that they have to be hand-painted. And how many minis are there?
So I just showed everybody pictures of what the painted minis are actually supposed to look like. Look like they're going to be really good, but the downside is they're just super expensive.
$1,500.
That's for the entire Nemesis original, all the stretch goals for that, and Lockdown, and the stretch goals, all the figures painted all together is $1,400.
Man, it would be nice to have stupid money.
These come separately than your Nemesis pledges. Even if Lockdown was the first time that you're going to go all in with Nemesis and you're going to get the original game, all the stretch goals, and Lockdown and those stretch goals, which I pray for your wallet at that point. It was a lot for me just for this one. Then you pay for these minis on top of it. You're going to end up with 2 sets of minis. It's a cool option that they're offering.
I understand that because it does take the time and the talent to be able to do those minis and do them well. Because I can paint them, and they look like I painted them when I was 3, because my painting skills haven't increased very much.
It's something that I actually really appreciate about
For
Nemesis, though. Like, I love the painted minis. They look great. I wish I had that artistic ability, because they look great. The sun drop, I'm looking at these pictures of it right now. It's more rough, but I think it still looks fantastic.
I think it looks really cool.
$40 extra to go from regular Nemesis to sun drop for the Lockdown. Totally worth every penny. I wish I had stupid money to get the painted minis, but I only can do what I can do.
So speaking of Nemesis, released just recently, there's an app for Nemesis. So when you're playing the game, you can use this app. It's going to help manage your turn counter, manage event cards, your character and objective choices, the bag development. I think that's going to be really nice. End of round activities. And it's going to add some music. Compare it to, talked about the Hexplorer app. It fits that same need, except for I think this is, having not played Nemesis since the app is available, I can't really compare it to the Hexplorer one. I think this is going to be kind of a cool...
I'm 100% in favor of game companies coming out with more apps like this, be that companion. Sometimes stuff like the bag of development when you're playing Nemesis, it's just so overwhelming trying to manage everything. And the more that they automate, the better off I am. I'm lazy and I'm here to enjoy a game. And it's a fun game to enjoy.
It is.
Well, I think apps really add to a game. I can't think of a single game that I've played that has had an app. It has not been made better because of the app. I love that more games are using apps now. I just love that.
And then one last thing. We started Betrayal Legacy, which was fun. I dominated. I'm amazing.
So speaking of the traitor, it being way too easy to be the traitor, right? Oh my gosh, Nathan destroyed us.
I think it was meant that the traitor should win that first one because it was very much...
There was no way. We strategized while you're exiled outside reading your rulebook, and we're inside reading our rulebook, trying to be secretive and strategizing, and none of it made a difference.
Yeah.
He came in too soon. We didn't get to finish. That's what it was.
15 minutes.
He's like, how long does it take him to read?
And then also we started Pandemic Legacy. Some of you, Andy, was your first time playing Pandemic? Same with you, Dave?
I've played Pandemic.
It was my first time playing Pandemic, yes.
So what did you guys think of that so far?
I loved it.
I like
was
it. I
a
like
lot
it
of
a lot.
fun.
It's great. I've only played a Pandemic a few times, and it's been a long time since I've played it. But so far, I have loved Legacy. Jumping in, they have a new Pandemic game coming out, Hot Zone in North America, as a newer release game.
It does look pretty cool. I enjoy Pandemic. Be seeing that soon and playing that soon. Going back a little, we're talking about apps. We've talked a little bit in the past about Roll for the Galaxy, and coming up in our Follow Mechanic episode, we're going to be talking more about Roll for the Galaxy. There's now a Roll for the Galaxy app. Your Android and your Apple devices. Check that out. I will not be downloading it anytime soon, but it is available.
And I'm sure plenty of people will enjoy it.
It has a huge popularity. I just happen to be not on that fan club. So some other new games coming out.
So there's a new game that was announced that's on pre-order. It's called Cloud Age. When I was reading about it, I like the mechanics. It has deck building, it has engine building, it has grid movement, hand management. It's a campaign game. I'm a sucker for campaign games. I love story. And the whole story is that 15 years ago, a mysterious secret society, Cloud, set fire to countless oil production sites and burned down large forests to destabilize the world. They succeeded. Dystopian future where you're going through with your airship trying to find resources, compete with the other players, lure more people to your ship. It just sounds like a great game.
I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun.
So they got a Dune Imperium. It is a deck builder. It's actually made by the same creators that made Clank. Deck builder, bag builder, worker placement game set in the universe of Dune. If any of you are fans of the novel or the movie Dune, I am. I love that book, and the movie, the long version, is awesome. So this sounds like totally something I would enjoy.
It does look pretty good.
Totally. That's going to be a big one, I'm sure, on the list of several family members.
Yes, absolutely.
They're all big fans of Dune.
Another one that looks really cool is a game called Cosmic Colonies. It's a 1 to 5 player game, so it has that solo variant, which is something I've decided I like more and more in games as I've tried more and more games solo. Asteroids blast through the cosmos, each one packed with possibilities. One may be your perfect new home, but it takes a stellar team to build a cosmic colony. Cosmic colonies, you're building a home on these asteroids. So you have to play your cards right to leverage your workers' unique abilities, gather resources, and build buildings to expand. So I think that looks pretty cool. It's a 1 to 5 player game, like I said, which for our group, 5 seems to be that magic number. And it's fairly short, 30 to 45 minutes.
If you're looking for a 2-player game, a new one called Aqualin has a 7.1 rating on Board Game Geek. It's not too bad. That's a pretty good rating. It's for 2 players, and it's best with 2 players as well.
That's ironic how that works out.
It's for ages 10 and up, and it's supposed to play in about 20 minutes by Marcello Bertocci, published by Cosmos. This game, I thought it was kind of unique. It's a game where, a brief description of it on Board Game Geek says, there's turmoil at the reef with different sea animals forming swarms again and again. Each turn, active player selects one of 6 stones, places it on an empty field. Where the competition comes in is one player is trying to make groups of the same color, while the other is forming groups of identical sea creatures, essentially wanting the same stones. You might have a stone that has yellow seahorse and another stone that has a green seahorse. One guy is fighting for the yellow, and the other player is fighting for seahorses. They're going to have that competition come into play there. But as far as 2-player games that are super quick, and it looks pretty decent.
So speaking of pretty quick, there's another game that's just out. It's called Here to Slay. 2 to 6 players. And by pretty quick, I mean it has a time frame that goes from 15 minutes to 90 minutes, which I think it's a huge gap in time, right?
And then playing with Dave, he can easily double the max amount of playtime.
It's true.
So Here to Slay is a competitive role-playing fantasy strategy card game. It's all about assembling a party of heroes and slaying monsters and sometimes sabotaging your friends too. Big fan of that opportunity where we can get more people to the table. I'm sure that adding the extra people adds the extra time. Here to Slay, and that should actually be available now, I believe.
Well, I have a question, Andy. Do you have the power?
Oh, I have the power.
Well, you could if you order Masters of the Universe, the board game.
Fields of Eternia. Now, let's be honest. Who here doesn't want to play a Masters of the Universe game?
I was huge in the 80s. A lot of the cartoons in the 80s. He-Man was at the bottom of my list.
Oh, really?
At the bottom of my list. I mean, the Smurfs were above He-Man for me.
Wow.
I don't know. There was...
Skeletor.
No, it wasn't Skeletor. A lot of it was the same scenes that were just reproduced.
Kind of like the Flintstones. Recycle the same background over and over again.
Well, not even necessarily the background. I mean, it was just any time... What was his non-He-Man name? I can't
Adam.
Adam West?
Are we thinking Batman?
That would have been better.
Is it Adam of Eternia? I don't remember.
I don't know. Pull out the sword that appeared from nowhere. And all of a sudden he's in front of Grace. Whenever he'd run across a scene, don't get me started on a He-Man. But I'm willing to give this a try.
Well, I think it looks cool because you can be different factions. I think it looks like it's going to be a fun game.
From the description, it says they put the time and effort into making good minis. If that's what they're doing with this 80s icon, I sure hope that they put the time and effort into it. I think that's part of what made Big Trouble in Little China a good game. Was part of it was the minis. I think most of it was the compelling story and the good game that expanded on the Big Trouble in Little China lore, making it feel authentic to the original story. So hopefully they do the same sort of thing with He-Man.
And if you're a big fan of He-Man, you can upgrade experience with this game with custom dice and the Castle Grayskull dice tower.
That would actually might be pretty cool. Grew up in the 80s, so I played with a lot of 80s toys. He-Man toys, they were garbage. I did TMNT toys.
Was it G.I. Joe or bust or what?
It was G.I. Joe and Transformers for me.
Yeah.
You know,
But-
random toy in the 90s that I really loved was Crash Dummies.
Crash.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not familiar with that.
They were literally
Like the
Crash dummies that they made toys out of. Don't know why, but they were so cool.
Believe that He-Man is exclusively releasing in Europe.
So it's coming to Kickstarter towards the end of 2020, but it says it is being exclusively released in Europe. So I'm hoping the Kickstarter will be in the US as well, and then hopefully you can still get the things, because they are saying that the limited edition He-Man on Battle Cat miniature is only available if you pre-order it. So hopefully they'll still allow you to kickstart and get that exclusive mini if they so choose.
So one more game that I want to talk about from Rio Grande Games is Beyond the Sun. I'm excited for this one too. It's a space civilization game which players collectively decide technological progress of the humankind at the dawn of the spacefaring era. Kind of has that same feel like Tapestry where you're making your advancements. This is just from space forward, not from Makers of Fire like in Tapestry. Really excited about this game. 2 to 4 players, longer time frame, 60 to 120 minutes, which is not a challenge, Dave. Players move their action pawns to empty action spaces, take their turns, conduct their production phase, produce or growing their population, trading one of those resources for another. Finally, they can claim one of the achievements. And it's kind of a race, but it is also action drafting, which I actually really like, that kind of pole position for actions that are available. And it has tech trees, which I enjoy games that have skill trees, choose your own adventure on.
I concur.
So I'm looking forward to that. Beyond the Sun.
You just mentioned Tapestry. Stonemaier Games just announced that they're going to have an expansion for Tapestry, Plans and Ploys. It includes a new card type, new miniatures, new civilizations, and a whole bunch of stuff to add to the game, which we've just barely played it, and I'm already looking forward to the expansion. I had a great time playing Tapestry.
Yeah, so we'll be talking more about Tapestry in about 4 episodes. We won't be talking much about the expansion since it's not available at all. We'll be talking more about our experience with Tapestry. I think we all enjoyed it. Look forward to that coming out in a few episodes. Kickstarters we want to talk about?
There are several that look really cool.
So one that I was looking at is Die of the Dead.
This looks really cool. I'm just looking at this visually. I'm excited for this game.
It looks wonderful.
Yeah, it really does. Die of the Dead is based on Dia de Muertos. It's a Mexican holiday, Day of the Dead. The premise behind this game is that you are trying to help the spirits get to the land of the living. This game has 4 different coffins that are decorated with Dia de Muertos artwork. The artwork is really cool on this.
Yeah, the Mexican sugar skull.
Yes.
So, not to interrupt you, but one of the things that they say on the Kickstarter is they worked closely with a cultural consultant and a Mexican artist to really make sure that they brought that artwork that you're talking about to life and make it as perfect as possible.
And it really does look a 3-dimensional staircase that you're putting dice on to help these spirits get to the land of the living. Once you reach the 9th step, that ends the game. And the player who gets their spirit to the top of the staircase wins. There's different dice. I believe there's 75 different dice, if I'm not mistaken. Plus there's custom dice with it. There are
special tokens, ofrenda tokens.
Yeah, the offering tokens, ofrenda, which is offering. Some of the offering tokens are the ofrenda tokens, which I love this. They have the Day of the Dead bread, pan de muerto. So I lived in Mexico for several years, and I loved the Day of the Dead just for the bread, because the bread is so good. So I thought it was cool that they had the bread on here. They have decorations, candles, and they have incense as the ofrenda tokens. Also, custom calavera dice, which the calavera are the skulls. And you have just regular 6-sided dice as well. So this game looks really cool. Moving the coffins around, putting dice in the coffins, you shake the dice up, you open the coffins up, and then it will trigger different things and either help you or maybe inhibit your opponents as you're trying to climb that staircase.
One of the best things that Andy pointed out about this game when we were looking at it is its price tag. For a Kickstarter game, it's super reasonable.
$36, and that's with everything included for that price, which is great.
There's those games that are out there that just visually attract you. About the Azul series, visually gripping. This game is just as good, if not better, that eye gripping of the Azul. It just pops. I like it. Very few games attract me on appearance alone. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. It looks really good. The playthrough looks really good. Die of the Dead has about 15 days left to back, so get on that.
The theme of this game is also something that attracts me as well. Not just the visuals. The visuals are amazing, but I think this theme is so cool. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
I agree with you completely. Like, I love the artwork. I love how visually catching it is. The theme is really what's dragging me into it, too, is Day of the Dead is a great holiday. I also love the fact that it's becoming more mainstream in America. Cinco de Mayo is becoming a bigger holiday in America. See stuff like this, it's only good things for Logan. Speaking of, I should back that right now.
We'll take a timeout while Logan backs Die of the Dead.
Andy told me I have to jump on it right now.
That was actually Nathan, but...
I don't mean to take that away from you, Nathan.
So there's a game that just finished Kickstarter a couple of days ago, so I'm hoping that you'll be able to late pledge on. But it's called Immune. It's a strategic cooperative board game where 1 to 6 players direct the immune system to fight a deadly virus. I am a total science nerd. I love biology. I love chemistry. I don't know that this game is going to go super deep into those things, but the artwork in it...
The guy that created this is a scientist, and he created it as an educational game. So that was kind of his purpose behind it, because
Right.
he loves board games and he's a scientist. So I think that in and of itself is cool. When I was watching the video on this, his explanation, it kind of gave me the feel of Wingspan, where there's an educational element to it. So it looks like it's fun.
On my 40th birthday a couple years ago, I started back into school, and I was taking biology and microbiology, organic chemistry, and all these classes. And I was just so in love with it all. I've got some game designs in my brain of a game that has a similar goal to help foster interest in the science and to teach some of that. So I'm hoping that this game does a good job with that. Another game called Syndicate, an interplanetary conquest board game. Just about a week left, a little over a week left on Kickstarter. For whatever reason, I like just this theme, the Syndicate future.
From what I'm reading, it's a space empire. You're the Syndicate in the space empire.
Yeah, the year's 3105, and humanity has spread to the stars. Anyway, one of the things that I think is cool about this one is they do include a single-player mode, like Nathan, you were talking about earlier. It's always nice when they can do that and do it well.
Doing it well is a key there.
So there's another game that's on there. I haven't read too much about it. I just clicked on it just now and it reminded me of Die of the Dead. We were just talking about visual grasp that takes you inside. Competing against each other with this Uprising. The game itself, it's fully co-op, but it's very visually grabbing. The races, the different colored backdrops on it, they have very bright colors. It reaches in and grabs me and says that this could be a very fun game.
Looking at it, I like that it doesn't use minis. Kickstarter's all about minis, and I know, Dave, I know you really like minis.
Yes.
I actually kind of like it in this one because they're not minis. They're brightly colored plastic shadows and then stickers going over it. But the way it looks on the board, it looks awesome. You don't have to have minis to have a great game, but minis sometimes are really fun in a good game.
We've talked about Gloomhaven, which doesn't use minis, but there's also Secrets of the Lost Station, which does include minis. I've played all of my versions, minus the first time, with just the standees. Sometimes I think the standees are just fine. Not every game needs minis.
That's
But
blasphemy.
Don't look at me in that
What?
tone of voice, Dave. Not every game needs mini. And sometimes I would rather have it be more accessible at a lower price range than Gloomhaven was a huge game. And had they included minis on top of that, I mean, it'd be more than your Nemesis, Logan.
Size.
That's what I was just going to mention. The box size is the biggest thing. Gloomhaven's already a massive box. I can't even imagine how big it would be with minis.
This looks pretty cool, though. I think someone should back it.
Logan?
Logan, I think, has been tapped out. I no longer have room to complain about money I've spent on games. I got to start putting money in Logan's Venmo.
Yeah, I'm going to be tapped out for at least a couple of weeks. I mean, I was compelled to back Die of the Dead, but at least I don't have to pay that bill for 22 days, as of recording. We'll see how I feel about my paycheck.
Another game that is actually... Kickstarter has ended, but hopefully it will go into late pledge. It's a game I've backed, Lizard Wizard, and it is an action selection game. You get to choose from several actions. You can gather magical ingredients. You can convert those reagents into mana. You can hire a mage, one of the mages that are available, summon a familiar, research and cast powerful spells, and you can enter the dungeon. It's a card game. It looks like a lot of fun. The artwork is amazing on it. I think very good looking game. It's one of those that I'm really excited to play.
Does look pretty fun. Seen a lot of excitement for it, for sure. One more game that I want to talk about. You're also going to have to try to see if you can get a late pledge in it. This is one that I backed. Arcania Rising. Arcania Rising invites 6 spellcasters to participate in a competition to acquire arcane artifacts and cast mighty spells. It's a drafting and engine building game. Players compete over 3 rounds to craft a magical engine that will power their collected artifacts and generate points for them through the end of the game. 2 to 6 players, and should have a playtime of under 60 minutes, so I think that looks pretty good.
I'm glad you backed that game.
So the last one I wanted to mention, it has 1 day as of right now, when we release the episode, to back on Kickstarter, but if not, try to find it on late pledge. Ultimate Werewolf Extreme. It's always a big hit when we play at family parties, when we play it at SaltCon. It's such a great game. New rules. The most important thing, I think, with it is that it comes with the moderating app. So many times, like, you can make one mistake being the moderator and it could change the entire game. Oftentimes, by the time somebody remembers a special role or something, it's too far gone to fix it. They've spent the time to make the app fix those issues. It's a great thing to have something like that help you out.
So the app puts the Extreme and Ultimate Werewolf Extreme?
Hopefully.
One more I wanted to mention was Glenmore 2 Chronicles.
Apparently we got Sean Connery.
I love not only he had an accent, you guys miss it in listening to his face when he has to make the voice.
So Glenmore is a game that I used to play on Yucata, I believe, with Fritchett and Fennel. It was a good game. We liked it. We never actually had it in person, but they made Glenmore 2 Chronicles that came out in 2019, where you represent the leader of a Scottish clan from the early medieval ages until the 19th century. It's a tile drafting placement game. The original Glenmore is fun. Chronicles came out in 2019, and then they have a Kickstarter right now for Glenmore 2 Highland Games. This one looks like it is 3 more Chronicles and a solo mode for Glenmore 2 Chronicles that came out in 2019. There's like 2 days left, so if you played Glenmore and you're a fan of it, go to Kickstarter. 2 days left. I think it's going to be a good game.
So I recently acquired Glenmore.
Oh, okay.
I haven't played it, so it's good that you're a little bit familiar with it. We
Yeah.
can give that a try. I was hoping one of you guys would back that too, because that looks pretty cool.
And everybody needs a little Sean Connery in their lives.
Okay. That's our news episode. There's a lot of things that are out there that we didn't get to. If there's anything that you're super excited about, please let us know. Reach out to us. Meeple Nation Off Air is our Facebook group. Reach out to us on Twitter, Instagram. Let us know what we missed and what you're excited about.
Let us know what games you played recently.
Get us excited about some game and let us know what you've played recently that we need to look into.
Until next time.
We'll see you at the game table.
Until next time. That was bad. That was really bad. I have to apologize to everyone. I'm just going to hang my head now.